the other video that you sent.
Awesome. Good afternoon, lady, or good morning. It's only 11:30. Good morning, and depending on where you're around the world, it could be good evening yesterday. It could be good afternoon in New Zealand. It's good morning here in Queensland. Good afternoon in Sydney. Guys, welcome to Under the Rug. My name is Neil. This is... sorry, my name's not Neil. Jeez, I feel like I'm back in Amsterdam. My name is Andrew. This is Neil. Jeez, I'm back in Amsterdam.
We should play that one day.
We're here to deliver some stuff that's under the rug. Is the title of the show today. It's called The Quickening. The bank runs are just the beginning. We're starting to get into it, ladies and gentlemen. This is starting to be the exciting part of the movie, the cliffhanger. We're over the precipice, I believe. We're going to be covering a lot of the stuff that's been going on with the banks, some of the stuff maybe you don't know. And of course, as always, what we share is our opinion. Okay, we're just a couple of larrakins having a good time. We don't haven't got a beer, but anyway, Neil's actually in Wellington for softball championships, watching his daughter pitch for the country, which is awesome, which I'm sure he'll tell us about as soon as he can get a word in, but not yet. But guys, anything that we do say is our opinion. Please go out and research it yourself. Pretty much everything you say is everything we say is easily findable these days. I don't know if that's the right word. Findable, is findable even a word?
Well, if they're researching, research it and look for findable. And if you find it, it's findable. It works.
That's right. That works for me. Cool. Cool.
It's
So how you doing, Neil?
Oh, good. Back to findable though. Is that it's either worse or worse? People say worse. I always correct them. No, there's no such thing as worse. You can't get any worse than worse. Although I guess some of the shit that's coming out through the mainstream media, these are what's starting to come out. For some people, would appear to be worse than the news before. But,
yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, if you are just joining us, and of course, why wouldn't you be just joining us? We've only just started. Please, if you're not already, like and subscribe to the channel, but share this out amongst your friends because today's going to be an interesting chat. We're actually starting to get organised, Neil and I. I don't know if you've noticed, but pretty much everything we've done up until now has been off the cuff. But we've now started to formulate a bit of a system. Obviously, we're getting serious. So we've actually got links and stuff that we know we're going to go and talk about. So, yeah, interesting. But share it, guys, please.
Yeah, I like the lighter. I think I said it the other week, and it's actually somebody else's thing, but it's the lighter side of genocide. That's a New Zealand guy that's actually ended up incarcerated in New Zealand here for the show and that he did, which is Vinnie Eastwood's show. Do you remember that one, Andrew?
Really? Is he still in jail?
I'm not sure, but he got sort of tied up with one of the other outspoken leaders in the country at the time, and they were doing the show together. But he was out there with the old mic in the streets, you know. It's like. Yeah, so he certainly, the fact that he was speaking the truth, you know?
Yeah, there it is right there. They're speaking the truth. They're clearly scared.
Yeah, it's just, I read something else the other day. It's like if you're watching the mainstream media, MSM, you know, the ones that they are making out to be the bad guys are actually the good guys, and the ones that they're saying are the good guys are actually the bad guys. As you're watching this whole thing play out, it's certainly starting to make a lot of sense. And you know, from that, you know, and we're talking about this whole wakening the populace up, and I believe we're starting to see the masses, especially in the USA, starting to feel that firsthand.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess for me, like yesterday, I drove from Tauranga down through Patauru, and then picked up my daughter and her fiance, and we drove on a beautiful day all the way down here to Wellington. I'm here in Wellington, obviously, at the Women's Club Champs, and my daughter's team, I think, is in with a shot to potentially take that out, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm here. Got old dad supporting. I've got to do a little ad for my old club that doesn't sort of really exist, but I'm in my little playground at the moment, so kind of hard for me to walk 100 meters at the moment without bumping into somebody that remembers me. Whether that's good or not, I'm not sure. Maybe less of them if they watched Under the Rug, or maybe I should promote them to watch under the rug.
Maybe. Hey, but on that note, you're saying about things going on in the States. Let's have a quick look at this.
Americans can have confidence that the banking system is safe.
So that probably tells you everything you need to know. Do not have confidence. The banking system is not safe, because anything that guy says, you got to think the opposite.
That's exactly what I was saying just before. You know, who the mainstream media puts up as a good guy is generally the bad guy, or an actor playing badly, or playing a good actor playing badly, like his role is. But here's the thing, Andrew. Though, so why did he have to come out and make that statement? Why?
Because he knows damn well that it's up shit creek. So here's something else I want to talk about. I mean, there's plenty. We've got plenty to talk about. Actually, let's start at the start. Obviously, last week we had the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank, right? Yeah. And initially, Janet Yellen, who's the Sec Treasurer, said, "Hey, we're not going to bail them out." And then reversed it within 12 hours and said, well, actually, we are going to bail them out, but it's not going to come from the taxpayer. The taxpayer is not going to borne that responsibility. Okay, so who is? Okay, yes, they pay into an insurance fund, but if that's in the if we're to believe that the insurance fund is going to cover it, then that only covers $250,000 of deposits, not $2 billion, not $200 billion, $250 per depositor. Okay, so where's the rest coming from? Now let's take that one step further. Who's going to benefit? Well, the only people that are going to benefit are the cronies, the bankers that have made the fuck up to start with, and the people, people in the upper echelons that are going to get looked after. The people like you and me are going to get shat on, as always.
Well, if you go a little bit deeper on that, and who are, is it their creditors, or you call them their investors? These are guys out of China and Ukraine and Israel, and these areas and the fund that it's coming from is not big enough for the losses. I think was it a 209 billion that was the fall. I don't think there's 209 billion in the insurance fund that they've all been supposedly putting into to cover the losses, but they'll certainly make sure that their buddies that are on part of that or invested in that somehow certainly get their payout. So yeah.
So here's something else to think about with all that as well, guys. So just have a look at this. Will the CCP agents who have used CCB, the Chinese Communist Party, guys, man, stop saying guys, and you sound like Wolverine. Have used that. Have used SVB effectively forced technology theft from tech startups. So what you got to remember about SVB is that it was used a lot to fund the tech startups in and around, certainly California, but the country as well. So there's a whole heap of companies now that are not going to be able to make payroll. So thousands of people are going to go without income. And I mean, price of living's already, my sister lives in Maryland, and she's already told me that the price of living is almost doubled. I mean, it's still cheap compared to where we are, but it's, they're starting to feel it in the pocket. Yeah. So what we got down here, here's a thought. Did any of the Silicon Valley giants benefit from the CC's tech theft retroactive resale? And if so, is that benefit measurable in monies that were then stored in SVB? Silicon Valley Bank is much more about business-based espionage practices as it is the cable's fiat dollar. So, there's more and more and more to this story. It just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And we certainly haven't seen... Where am I? Where are my homies? They're my homies. Sorry. We certainly haven't seen the end of it. In fact, we've really only just seen the beginning. That's where we are.
What was that other bank within 2 days or 3 days that went into receivership?
Signature Bank.
Yeah.
Actually, there's something else I saw this morning that I'll show you. It's a little matrix. So let me get back to where I need to be so I can see it all. Learning how to drive here, guys. This one.
Yeah, Andrew Daniels said, turn the machines back on. They can't. They can't turn them back on.
Are you serious? That clip's no longer available.
Bastards.
They're bastards.
What platform was that on, Andrew?
Which?
The clip you were looking for.
Facebook.
Well, okay. Well, that's so talking about Facebook.
Oh, here it is. Here it is.
They got it.
Yep.
Facebook just laid off another 10,000 workers.
I know.
And I think that's on top of the other 11,000, the other less than a month ago.
That's not the one I wanted. So we'll come back to that. Yeah. Crazy, right?
But isn't Facebook in Silicon Valley as well? Didn't they have their bloody...
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Interesting seeing a lot of the crypto exchanges coming out and trying to reassure their collective and that their funds are okay. It's like a lot of exchanges coming out and verbally, written, saying your funds are thing because we had nothing to do with the Silicon Valley. So like those ones that didn't come out and say anything, those are the ones you might be looking at, hopefully.
Hey, but here's is that going to show me all of it? No, I think it just is interesting. Here's something else to think about though. Check this out. Silicon Valley Bank's CEO and CFO and CMO sold 4.4 million in stock over the last 2 weeks. Did they know something was going on?
Yeah.
What would cause you to sell? Really, isn't that just quite serendipitous timing?
But all those guys, they were just getting in the process of being. And I'm not prepared for the right organization, but basically being. They knew they were being downgraded, and yet they were in the process of being. Was it something to do with Forbes or promoted as sort of one of the banking institutions to be with, and yet they knew that they were in the process of this decline and what was happening. They even flew somewhere and they met with the JP Morgan guys. They knew this was happening, and they were taking the money out. So who are the people that are losing out? The ones. The normies like you and I that
well, hey, we're not normies. We know what the fuck's going on.
Well, okay, sorry. Those other. Sorry, I was kind of thinking along the lines of those in the income bracket or the financial bracket that live on a daily, weekly process, relying on the funds from the bank. So the banks close the doors, the ATMs don't work. How do you survive? And this is what I was starting to say with my trip down, and talking with my future son-in-law and my daughter. It's like you can't see it happening over in the States, but what's happening in the States now, we've already experienced here in New Zealand, but in a different way. Here we had the whole weather bomb, Gabriel, come in and wipe out basically the whole of the Hawke's Bay in a massive part of the east coast of the North Island, New Zealand. And so they lost power, communication, and everything with that. And so, so they couldn't draw any money out. They didn't have any communication. The power was down, so they had no fuel. And it's like, what did those people do? They went to the supermarkets and helped themselves. And the gang community in that region went and helped themselves even worse than that, and actually beat people up and threatened them and all that sort of stuff. So it's about money and food. So the banking system, and so my kids weren't awake to that. They were aware of that, but it's like they were just looking for the basics and they couldn't get them.
Yeah.
It's like, so this is what's happened with these banks collapsing, and there's been video come out with the bank run.
Yeah, with people queuing up for blocks to get to the...
Yeah.
And, this is something you'd expect to see in a third world country. I mean, it even happened in Cyprus back 2008, 2009. And not that we saw much of it here in the Western world because of our media, right? They're trying to boom and play that shit down because they don't want people going, well, fuck. They don't want to create panic. I mean, remember there was even in Senate or Congress this week, they had a meeting. Actually, it might not have been in Senate or Congress, but it was somebody up in the higher echelons. They had a meeting this week after the collapse to say we shouldn't be telling any of the public any of this. We don't want to cause panic. No, you're in the shit. This is going to happen whether you tell them or not. People aren't as dumb as you fucking think they are. That's the problem.
Well,
It's not a problem. That's That's their
What you're
arrogance.
getting is if one bank goes down, and those that have sort of been awake and hear that, it creates a bank run, not on that bank. Well, on that bank, well, they try to, but there's nothing. But then all the other banks get the bank run, and those banks only have a certain amount and not enough to cover what's in credit, well, what the people believe that are owed to them.
Okay, so here's a question now. Just play devil's advocate for a second. Is this done by design?
Yes, it has to. You know, so the bigger picture here is we're witnessing the collapse of the old SWIFT monetary slavery system control over us.
It's like we're witnessing the collapse of the Roman Empire all over again, only this time with memes.
Yeah.
Because that's all it is. It's still the Roman Empire. People think the
Yeah.
Roman Empire fell. No, it didn't. It just been morphed.
Yeah.
We think the Phoenicians are. Yeah.
And 6,000 years of that bullshit is finally coming to an end. And you know, you're kind of like, if you're shitting yourself right now, then you're not awake enough. This is the most exciting time to be alive. And watch it. But this is some of the conversation that I had with family since yesterday, and that it's like, if you can't go to the bank and pull any money out, and your ATM doesn't work, what are you going to do?
Yep.
Are you prepared? You know, it's like we're at a point now where you cannot keep your head in the sand on this.
No,
If
absolutely.
you're not prepared,
Could
you're
you
going
ever?
to be one.
Really?
No.
Well, I don't think you've got a choice anymore.
Well, so my close family, yep, get it, and are wide awake. They're probably lucky they're connected to me, and so we're prepared, diversified, foodified, waterified, you know, ready for that stuff.
Waterified. Is that a word?
Um,
Petrified? No, that's different.
well, water.
Waterified. I'm waterified.
Well,
What does that even mean? Does it mean you're full of water or that you've stocked up on water?
well, I guess it's like
Sorry,
fortified.
man, I should stop.
I know. Well, I mean, fortified.
Oh, you're
for
making it
what?
rhyme. I got you. Yeah. Waterified works. Fortified, waterified, and torture. Well, no, that's not right.
It's prepared. You know, it's like you've got to have and you know, keep it in your car. Keep them in your car because you never know where you're going to be for whatever it is. There's so many different angles that are coming on different areas of the planet. You know, we might, so down here in New Zealand, we might not even see a banking collapse, but for some reason or other, you know, and as I said to the family, it's not a matter if, to me, it's a matter of when. And I think, you know, with some of the stuff we've talked about, it's like the military's the only way.
Yeah.
And so by military being the only way, we're kind of thinking that martial law and all that sort of stuff. We might not necessarily get about that because I believe that the military is in control behind the scenes with all of this anyway. They're already in control and calling all the shots.
I think what you'll find martial law would be for, if it's implemented, would be to control the dissidents of people who are still fearful and not and don't know the plan. That would be to stop petty theft and you know, to keep people safe from each other. Yeah.
Well, you know, like we always say, it's like we just don't know.
Nope.
We don't know, but certainly, you know, and we both said that before we came on. There's definitely a massive uptake in events that are happening, and certainly we're in the month of March Madness and moving into April.
Yeah.
Which everything's ticking up. So I've read, and have you read the stuff about Credit Suisse?
Funny you say that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not right. That's the wrong one. Wrong button.
Fuck.
I was literally just brought this up. Largest shareholder of Credit Suisse, a bank with 578 billion in assets, says it can't provide more financial support. So Credit Suisse, largest shareholder, rules out financial aid. Just sit with that for a second. Credit Suisse, their largest shareholder, can't provide financial aid. That's because they haven't got any money. Let's face it, most of the shareholders, the big ones like that, they're corrupt. They're on the dark side, right? They're black money. So they haven't got any access to their funds. So of course they can't provide it. So that comes back to what I said to you before. Is this by design? And you said, of course it is. And I agree. It is absolutely by design to wake people the fuck up.
Yeah.
The system's fraudulent. It has been for decades, millennia. And now it's time, Lincoln was shot for two reasons, right? Well, he was shot for one thing. People say he was shot because he abolished slavery. No, yes and no, but no. He abolished debt slavery because he created the greenback. It was a non-debt based currency backed by gold. And the powers that be, the Rothschilds, didn't like that. They were already fuming from when the Russians came and helped them out. So they went, fuck him, we're going to shoot him and we're going to do away with it. So he may have abolished slavery in the form of you're gonna live in my field and pick my cotton for nothing, and I might give you some food. That's how we see slavery. But we've been indentured to slavery, debt slavery, since the time we women got a tax file number or an ID number. It is in New Zealand, right? Yeah. Well, in fact, earlier than that.
Right.
From the time you're born, because you get that birth certificate. So you're indentured to debt slavery right from then. There is no way you can ever repay all of the interest that keeps getting accumulated on the debt that's there. It's mathematically impossible. That's why every fiat currency that has ever been tried over the years has failed 100% of the time. And what does it always come back to? It has always traditionally come back to gold and silver.
Precious metals. Yeah.
Slightly different now with the digital age because we've got the commodities that we can tokenize, which are being tokenized. So we've got that too. So it's no longer, it's now asset backed. It's not just gold and silver backed. It'll be backed by coffee or oil or rice or, fill in the blank.
So did you see the slide or the picture that came out with the they've replaced the Federal Reserve note with the US Treasury note?
Yeah, I have seen that somewhere. I don't know where
the US Treasury note is backed by gold. So I guess, are we seeing them with these banks starting to fail and coming through to the surface through mainstream media and all that, in preparation for switching on the digital system, or the QFS, or the whatever you want to call it, getting ready for CBDCs, because that's where they want to go with it. It's part of the plan moving through to that.
And look, there's a lot of talk about CBDCs, and there's two different trains of thought. I'm sure. As you know, I'm sure. Do you want to? Let's have a quick talk about that.
So, well, there's two narratives. There's the dark narrative and there's the light narrative. So the dark narrative is you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. You'll get a little amount.
And you should eat the bugs.
Yeah, you should eat the bugs. And the CBDCs will do that. Now, the good narrative is the CBDCs. Well, the CBDCs are the final nail in the coffin for the banking system, because at the end of the day, you don't need a middleman, and it'll be the revaluation of all the different countries' currencies, and each country will have its own supposed CBDC. Which now there's another take on that where it's so the Klaus Schwab version is it the CBDC, or it's called different? It's the daily reward. So that the white hat's reward is the
UBI,
the UBI,
Universal Basic Income.
Yeah, and then the other one is I can't remember what Klaus Schwab's one is, but there's two different narratives going on, and they're allowing them both to play out at the same time, or more so the dark side, which is what helps create the fear amongst people on not wanting to have that controlling mechanism over them.
So yeah, and let's discuss that. So the WEF side of it, or that narrative, let's have a talk about that. A CBDC means that you've only got to look to China to look at their social credit system to see what could come this way. I mean, there was something coming out this week where when a dude, if he walked across the road in the wrong places, his face flashed up on a big LED screen, and he was shamed about doing the wrong thing. Well, okay, whatever. But that's what they're talking about here. And I think you shared it with me this morning. I'd already seen it prior, I think a few weeks ago, about Woolworths now using AI and facial recognition to see whether you're scanning your shit properly.
Is that Walmart? Walmart?
No, it's Woolworths here in Australia.
Oh, okay. I've seen, there's these sort of, not turnstiles, but, when you walk through these scanning zones, when you walk into supermarkets, and I think Walmart's sort of preparing for that.
Yep.
Same thing in China. You've got to do a retina scan and then go through. And I think that's something to do with these 15-minute cities and that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah,
it's
so
like,
if you're not in your location.
Yeah. But that is all fear-mongering stuff from the dark side. From that is so if, depending on your knowledge in the movie that we're watching, and if you're watching that part of it, then that's fear. That's fear big time. But
Absolutely.
If you've got a bigger picture of that, and that it's part of the awakening process, if you're already awake to that, then you don't need to fear that. You need to be excited about that, because as more and more people wake up to the fact that something's not right, and we need to step up and take control of this thing ourselves, then we'll see the real change that we've been waiting for. But these events that are happening around the world are increasing, and we're getting much closer to what we're all waiting for than we've ever been. CBDC.
I am still here, by the way.
It's all good. You're frozen.
I know. I don't know what's going on. See, I'm even frozen there. Hey, guys. So I don't know if it's because I got my camera sorted out. It's been working flawlessly. So I don't know what's going
It's
on.
always the way. I think because we probably touching on a nerve, so they're probably sending a shortened signal, sort of slow us down a bit. So just pretend that Andrew's lips are working or moving, if that's what you kind of enjoy.
Well, if you can still hear me, that's the main thing, I guess. Oh, there's an error recording. An error occurred with the ISO recording, and it has stopped. I don't know what that is, but anyway, it keeps coming up each week. I wanted to have a look at this here. We talked about Credit Suisse. Justin, $10 trillion asset manager BlackRock CEO, says more bank seizures could occur after Silicon Valley Bank. Well, we've already started to see that. And then if we look at Credit Suisse, obviously after this here, we've talked about their largest shareholder with $578 billion in assets says it can't provide financial support. Bang, we're down 25% today. That's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, on Monday, the opening of the stock exchange on Monday, they halted trading on a whole page full of banks.
Absolutely.
They were tumbling.
Image before that I found this morning that I thought was really good. It showed all of the banks.
Yeah. It's but if you're not watching that, people are just going through their lives at the point of, if you can still put fuel in your car, if you can still take money out the money machine, and you still get to your job and still being paid, and you can still eat, and you're not paying attention to anything else, then you're not awake yet. And as this whole thing starts coming to the surface now, which we are plainly or clearly seeing, it's only a matter of time, and it appears to be, I guess, ramping up in the States, which will have a domino effect around other countries that are all linked into that system.
Yeah,
you're going to see at some point everybody's going to be affected. Now, as you move down through into Australia and New Zealand, which is where we reside, that's only a matter of time before one of the banking systems here starts having the same issues. So if you're not ready, you're not ready. But we all are. So that's the good thing here for us that are, I guess, with us and watching the same movie that we're all watching.
I can't find that other image that I wanted to show everybody, but it was so we'll show you this though, because this is kind of cool. Play.
I'm not going to say I told you so, but it's all going down the pan. All the banks are fat. I'm not going to...
All the banks are fat.
Anwar Craven.
Yep.
Yeah, boy, that is a guy that has helped wake up so many people with the knowledge and his journey. And yeah, I think we talked about him last week, sort of heading into New York or Washington DC, and just seeing how it's empty. We showed the bloody the Biden inauguration and that, and I think was it that same one we talked about the military. If somebody dies in the military, you get a sort of 3-gun salute. But if they're being celebrated, or it's normally a 4-gun salute. So in his inauguration, whatever it was, he had the 3-gun salute,
he's having a funeral.
Just crazy.
Funny.
Crazy. What were some of those other
Is that it?
links that we had, Andrew? Because
we've gone through a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a look at this one. This is another image that I found this morning. So SVB partially backed by China. Borders connected with Gavin Newsom's wife, California, being subpoenaed in the Epstein case. Invested $5 billion in woke corporations. Signature Bank has Barney Frank on the board. Signature Bank is being sued over FTX. So, like, there's a reason why these two banks are first. Oops, you don't need to see that. There's a reason why those two banks are first.
Well, it's part of the it's part of the awakening for the normies to sort of see, yes, the bank's going down, and then the bailout that's happening, which is an insurance fund that they have, but it won't end up going to the people. It's going to their to the people that are controlling them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
This is the CCP in China, and
that's exactly right. And look, we think about the name of the show today, guys, is called The Quickening, and the bank runs are just the beginning. So I just literally was just scrolling through. I wasn't scrolling. I've been refreshed my page on Facebook to get away from that video, and this came up. So this is kind of funny. The FAA building closed, barbed wire and fencing. They even removed the flags. Corrupt systems are falling all around us. And it's a guy named Anthony Olivia. Olivia. Do your own research. I've had yarns with Anthony. We're actually going to get him on the show because he thinks very similar to us. Yes.
Yeah. Does he live in Las Vegas?
Yeah. There or LA. So
yeah,
he's
basically,
anyway.
Yeah, he's a very awake gentleman that has basically got the feet on the ground, and first-hand information on the collapse as it happens. Experiencing.
Absolutely, and he's actually really well connected as well. So he's like, he knows some of the people that are involved. It's just like, yeah, okay. I remember in one of our chats, without going into too much information, we were talking about a red carpet event around Oscars time, and some of the people that he was sitting with, and I was like, oh, interesting. He goes, yeah, they don't know that I know, or something like that. It was it's like, yep.
Oh, so that's like James Bond stuff almost.
Yes, Miss Moneypenny. Hey, I'm gonna just put you on screen for a second. I'm gonna see if I can see what's going on with the camera. So excuse me, guys, for a sec.
Yeah. We are coming to a really crucial part in the journey. And, if you look at your current situation and how prepared you are, and don't only think about just yourself, but your immediate family around you, because the last thing you want is your family to succumb to no good, because when just in the conversations that I've had the last couple of days, they're not ready, and they've never even been thinking about it. They're too busy. Because here in New Zealand, sort of, for most people, life's sort of back to normal, apart from those in the Hawke's Bay region. But they're not really awake to preparing for what's coming. They weren't awake to what happened in Hawke's Bay and lack of food, power, water, money, and just what happened. But just like my son-in-law or future son-in-law, he was a really hard worker, and he's talking about buying a business and buying a house, and I'm like, just hold off on that for right now. I mean, the business is really good, going to see itself out, and it's worth $500,000. Well, based on what I'm seeing now, it's probably not a good time to be doing that. But if you wait maybe 12 months and see this whole thing happen, then you might pick that business up for a fraction of the cost and save yourself a lot of money. It's a concrete sort of manufacturing opportunity, but helping him explain why. If you don't have access to your hard-earned savings and you can't get access to the bank, the ATMs, then how are you prepared? How are you going to live? And it's like, if that's just you, and there's 90% of the populace that are in the same boat, then what's going to happen? Now, you're already seeing it happen in America. It's happened here already in New Zealand, just at a different. America is the banking system. Here, it's been Cyclone Gabriel, so it's hit in a different way. But it's been hitting in different ways in different regions around the world. When they pull it all together, it's going to be, I guess, the massive awakening that everybody has no choice but to experience. So, as I said to him, you need to wake up because your family's not awake, and you need to be in a position where you can help them. If you can't help them, then you're going to be like them and one of them. And you don't want to be knocking on your best mate's door asking for food, if he's even got any. So for me and how I think moving forwards, and the reason why I'm here, is to first make sure that my family, myself and my family are okay. And then from there, it'll be friends and then local community from there on out, as we transition through to more of what's coming. And they keep saying if, and I'm saying it's not about if this happens, it's when. It's only a matter of time when. And if you're not watching and keeping up with it, you'll have no idea. It'll come and hit you and bite you in the back of the ass, and you won't be ready. So at least, you don't have to get in your family's face or in their ear about this coming. You just need to be prepared yourselves so that when that time comes, you'll be ready. There you are, Andrew. You're moving.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's all good.
I was here the whole time, just fixing shit. Sorry, guys.
But that's, yeah. Now we're both frozen. Now I'm frozen. It's all right, coming back. But that's, with what we're seeing is the face of the war. Oh, okay. We're seeing the face of the war finally come to the surface. And when we're seeing it at that close to the surface, then we are really, really close to massive events happening and really affecting people's lives to shake them awake.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, Corolla. Good to see you tuning in all the way from Canada. That a girl?
All right.
So what have you got? Have you got something else to pull up there for us, Andrew?
I don't know that I have.
We're going to have a short show today.
Oh yeah, we could just talk and Actually, let's we have got this. So this is on the 13th, guys. This is from the start of the week. Basically, developing trading halted at 30 banks as market opens on the New York Stock Exchange. So you can see in here, trading for over 30 banks has been halted. The banks collapse happening in real time. So there's a lot of people that can see what's going on. I mean, look at this. Charles Schwab could be headed for the worst day ever as fears of banking crisis deepen. Schwab is the 8th biggest bank biggest US bank by assets because of the retail brokerage deposit model. Now, see, this is coming back to them being bailed out. Yeah, nah, I've got nothing. They if they're bailed out, not by the taxpayer, then they're talking about the fund that the banks apparently pay into. But again, it's only going to be the top echelon that get any payment from that. It's not going to be... So, you know, man, the bank is the last place I would have any money. I haven't got any money in the bank. All my money I have in elsewhere. I've got it in cash. If I need to put it in the bank, I put it in the bank in dribs and drabs. Yes, it's a little bit of an inconvenience for me, but it's probably more convenient than losing all my money. Now, I was talking to a family member the other day, and they informed me about relations of theirs, not of mine, not a relation of mine, but a relation of theirs that has like $1.3 million on fixed deposit. And it's like the interest that we'll earn from that is $25K, which is nothing really, let's be honest. It's like 2%. But it's a $10,000 penalty for breaking it. My argument was, well, you're probably going to break it and lose $10,000, but keep the 1.3 million. Because let's face it, if the banks collapse, and it may not, as you said, we spoke about it in New Zealand, but if the banks collapse, then it's fucking good for nothing anyway. You haven't got it.
You know how, and we haven't really talked about this, but we have talked about it, but not on air lately, but for them to talk about a bailout, which is an insurance policy, and that's not even going to be enough to cover that one bank, right?
It's not even the bailout isn't even the insurance policy. That's the way they're talking about doing it now. But let's call it what it is. If they're being bailed out like they were in 2009 or 2008 when they collapsed, they let Lehman Brothers go, but fucking bailed all the rest of them out. So there's obviously someone at Lehman Brothers that pissed them off or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's 100% fraud. If you or I did that, if you or I run a business where we are the custodians of someone's money and we go, no, we're closing the doors today and you're not getting any of your money back, we'd be shot. You know, we'd be done for money laundering and fucking counterfeiting, which is exactly what they do because they print money on demand. That's counterfeiting, right? Well, not them specifically. There's a process and everything in it. But if you make a mistake, Neil, you pay for it.
Yeah. They're going to drag us over the coals for it. Yeah.
But so they're allowed to go and just flippantly mismanage the money, much like the politicians of most countries, to be honest. And there's no consequence. When are people going to get wise to that and say, what the fuck are we allowing this to happen for? I mean, let's go back to one of our first episodes. And I said that, guys, what we need to remember is that we put the government in power. The government works for us. We don't work for them. If we're not happy with what they're doing, then we have the obligation to say, oi, step the fuck aside and let someone who will do the will of the people in there. We don't want any more fraudulent motherfuckers in the banks. We don't want any more pedophilia at the fucking highest ranks. We don't want any of that shit.
Well,
yeah. Carry on.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like look at this bank run, and then I look at the bail-in that they're talking about. So the bail-in through, and my understanding is through this insurance thing that couldn't even cover the one bank's failure, and then as more banks domino into the same process, there's not enough money. So there's not. And where I was wanting to go with that and discuss that with you is like, does that mean we'll start to see the not the bailing out, but then the bail-in will come where they take the so-called assets or the funds, the people's funds, and do that. But that's the same thing as locking the bank up anyway, isn't it? Depending on the size of their problem.
It depends on how much money you've got in the bank too. Because I think it's all deposits over X amount. But see, that's the thing. And those laws have been written and they've been in place for at least 4 years, particularly here in Australia. They're the same in New Zealand. They're definitely available, definitely there in the States. Because you got to remember, all of these banks are all connected. They're all in bed with each other. There's no such thing as the big four. They're just a bank. They all take their direction from the same place. Just different shareholders.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there's not even different shareholders. Anyway, that's another story. But I digress.
Yeah. Well, but so, I mean, on the lighter side of all that, and Rodger hits it perfectly. It's the end of the system.
Absolutely.
Right?
And let's fucking celebrate that.
Yeah.
Excuse my French.
And then, so what comes from that is the turning on of the new digital system, because it's the end of that old part that doesn't serve us anymore.
Yeah.
And for most people that aren't awake to that, they're just going to see it's the end and have no access to what they've so used to with their life, that's the way they're used to living. So and for us that have been awake and ahead of the game, it's when they turn, and whether we see an actual flip of the switch, by all accounts there could be. So what that might look like moving forwards is, and we're coming up to the end of the week here, if you flip the switch on a Friday and then turn the switch on, take you 3 days to get it ready to switch and have it switched on ready for Monday in the new digital system.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and yes, Corolla, the QFS. So that's what we want to see switched on, because that's the future of where everything is. And I'm pretty confident some of the stuff I've been reading lately, that the military is all behind the scenes here to bring this out in an orderly fashion with the least disruption to the populace as possible. And that for us is exciting, but for those that aren't ready, it'll seem like Armageddon and the end of the world. And but that's like, the more that you know and you're prepared for family and friends close, then you're going to be good. But you can't stop people knocking on your door.
I just found the image that I was looking for before. Totally by mistake, but I found it. The mother of all short squeezes. Bankrupt. We've got Signature Bank, Silvergate, SVB. So these are all just the dominoes that are all lined up. Now, guys, here's something to remember, is that Deutsche Bank has been trading insolvently for the last couple of years anyway. I remember I said something about Deutsche Bank being bankrupt on Facebook, and a friend, an acquaintance that I knew from a former life, who is not necessarily in finance, but certainly deals with high volumes of money, told me how rubbish I was and how full of shit I was, and women blocked me on Facebook. Well, I wasn't wrong. It's just it wasn't public knowledge at that stage. I mean, the RBA, the Reserve Bank of Australia, they came out, they had, and I've said this before, I think it might have even been before Christmas or in January, they come out and they said, oh, we're bust. Most people went, ha ha ha, they're bust. No, they are fucking broke. They have no money. That's what they mean by bust. They're insolvent. They're bankrupt. They have nothing. So we're starting. It's all starting to come in.
Well, the domino effect just isn't in the banking system. The flow-on effect from all of that. It's like, so what's next? What falls with that? The housing market.
Yeah.
If that's going to fall, then how's that going to look? They've already experienced the biggest housing crash in 2008, and the fallout from that, especially in the States, was enormous.
That's going to be nothing.
Well, that's what they're saying. Friggin' this collapse is going to make that look like friggin' a tremor compared to a friggin' total collapse.
Yeah, but I think the upshot, not to leave with doom and gloom. We've got 10 minutes, so let's brighten this up a bit. The upshot of that is that I'm led to believe that even if I say take your money out of the bank, that's the wise thing to do. Again, not financial advice. That's what I'd be doing. It's what I have done. Because I don't think it's safe in the banks. I don't think the banks are safe at all. And I think we've highlighted why throughout this show. But, man, I'm losing my train of thought real easy today. So what I'm led to believe is that if you do have your money in the bank, whatever you have in the bank has already been credited to your QFS account, right? And it's there in the background so that when the QFS comes across, you're not going to lose out. Now, remembering everything in the QFS system is backed by an asset. So the same thing about mortgages, things like that. It's meant to be the debt forgiveness. So your debts will be erased, the mortgages will go. And on top of that, you'll also receive back money that you've paid out for that. Because what most people don't understand about mortgages, and you can research what I'm about to say, it's not easy to find, but it is out there for you to find. The same as Queensland, New South Wales being on the New York Stock Exchange. What I'm about to tell you is true. And if you research it, you'll find out for yourself. But what most people don't know about mortgages is that you're paying screwed. Usury. Well, you're being screwed for sure. You're paying usury on your own money. Now, what I mean by usury, if you're not sure what that is we live in a usury system, right? We pay interest on everything. So you're paying interest, that's the usury, on your own money. Now, I don't know if you've ever looked under a microscope on a check or under a magnifying glass. On the right-hand side where you sign your name, the line that says, signature, blah, 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 blah. Underneath that line, if you look at it under a magnifying glass, says by authorized signature only. They cannot put that money into existence. They can't print that money into existence without your permission because it's coming from your trust. The trust that was established when you were born through your birth certificate. So your mortgage literally is created in the same way. So all a check is it's not a bill of sale. I can't remember the exact word.
It's a promissory note, isn't it? A promissory note?
Yeah, essentially. It's a contract. Yeah. It's a contract. Yeah. And it's the same with the mortgage. They cannot produce that money until you have that signature. And it's not because, we need your signature so we can get the money of the bank. No. They need your signature to create that money from your trust. So not only are you paying money on your own money, like you're paying for the privilege to use your own money. The bank is making money. So I'll give you a depressing statistic.
No.
Last week we showed that video about how to beat the banks, and guys, when I got that set up, so I'll let you know how that's going in a month or in another 3 weeks because it's been a week now. It doesn't seem to go in on the weekends, unfortunately, so there is going to be the compound over the Saturday and Sunday. But anyway, where I was going with that, what were we talking about? See, I'm losing my train of thought today.
We were talking about the mortgage and the signing of the signature and how that all...
that's right. I was going to share something depressing. So our mortgage is $1,700 a fortnight. It's gone up $1,500 in the last 12 months, a month. So it's ridiculous. So if you calculate that back, we're paying over $3,500 a month. Times that even only by 10 months, and that's $33,000, right? We've only paid $9,000 off our mortgage this year.
That's bullshit.
So the bank's making $20,000, $23,000 if you use that scenario, off my fucking money.
Yeah. Charging you for the privilege of it.
I know this shit, so I should just get the friggin' thing discharged. Anyway, what I believe and where I was going with all of that is that we're going to receive all that back anyway. And this is all mortgages in the past. And like we've been 1955 is the price structure that's been thrown around. Like, we're going to go back to 1955 prices. That's not quite right. And I think we've said it here before, but just to reiterate, you're going to have the same purchasing power as you had in 1955. So that is kind of cool. It does mean that there's going to be some, really high ticket homes bought.
All the beachfront ones before the tide comes in.
Yeah, because the tide's coming in, Far out.
It's exciting times, and
it is. It really is.
Yeah, and every day is another day closer. The the more bank exposure that we see. And I think, what we're starting to see now is starting to hit closer to home, which is what wakes people up is you hit them where it hurts, is in their pocket, in their own pocket. And so, although it's not here in New Zealand or Australia at the moment, but you're starting to see it in America. Now, it's just 2 banks at this point, but there's 20 banks that were stopped trading, 3. All right, so 2 days I've been on the road and away from the thing, so I've missed a bank. So, and we've still got 2 more for you guys in the States. There's 2 more full days yet, and so it appears to be escalating in the US, and certainly under Biden's regime, it's certainly accelerating, which is, I think, is what they want.
It is in the UK too. The London Stock Exchange opened down.
Yeah.
When it opened this week, like a long way down. So
yeah. So then, if you think about what you just said, then we're talking about banks, we're talking about stock exchanges imploding as well. How many stock exchanges around the world stopped trading on Monday morning at opening on all their banking assets on there?
Rodger's saying 6. Are you saying 6 banks, Rodger? It's running parallel already to the QFS. Yes, it is, Corolla. You're 100% correct. Hey, guys, I just dropped a link that we haven't had time to go to. It was a long video. I sent it to Neil to watch the other day. Hopefully you watched it, Neil. If you haven't, definitely go watch it.
I haven't had a chance, and I'll watch it tonight.
But it's about, I think it's just over half an hour long or something like that. It only took me, I can't remember the exact timestamp. But anyway, watch it. It's about the coming bank runs. It's very animated. It's definitely a good watch.
I think, didn't they have General Flynn on just the other day and talking about and basically pleading, I guess, his audience to not do the bank run. Don't do it. You're going to escalate it in the wrong manner. I don't really agree with that. I want to see it happen sooner rather than later because I'm prepared. But if you're not prepared, whether that's the fact that he's coming out and saying that, then he's probably got a bigger idea of what's going on than any of us, and that's exciting. But what we'll see is the banking system followed by the stock market. We talk about the stock market crash. So we are the financial system's in free fall, and it's only a matter of time before it gets to everybody. Wherever you are around the world, it's going to hit you in the pocket where it hurts. You just have to be prepared for that, and you can't prepare the numpties around you, so you kind of need to be extra prepared for them as well.
So Corolla and Rodger are confirming that. Yes, 6 banks said it earlier.
Yeah. So, and of course, you guys being in Canada, I guess US is pretty much closely linked with Canada and what's going on there. I think George Soros is in there too, and amongst some of that, was he tied in too with the Silicon Valley one? I think
I thought he was dead.
Well, his
Body double clone?
the crash test dummy they've put in place.
Too funny.
It's been, it's good to actually get away from like everything's happening as it should be, and if you're already prepared and you don't need to spend all day watching the movie, it's good to get out and ground yourself and go within and be comfortable within your own self and make the most of the sort of the freedom without stress attached to it from the numpties around you. So make the most of that. Take your shoes off, go to the beach, go to the park, get in the water, and just enjoy it because this ride, we're at the top of the roller coaster right now.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be a hell of a ride from here on out to the end. So bring it on. I love riding roller coasters. It certainly gets the adrenaline going and the thrill of the rush, and that's where we're at. But always a pleasure to get to the end and enjoy that at the end. Whew, that was good.
Yep. Agreed, mate. Agreed. All right, there we are. We're at the bottom of the hour. So, mate, it's been amazing being here with you this week. all the best to Tyler, and let her know that we're thinking of her and making sure that she crushes it out there. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, well,
We did a little bit.
So she's been named in the New Zealand White Sox team, but they've got their New Zealand club champs down here at Fraser Park. I mean, if anybody here from Wellington that watches this, it's probably generally only my family, close family members that are awake that do. But come on down. I'd love to catch up. For me, this has been my old watering hole for probably 30 years of my life. Got a lot of memories down here, but come down to support my daughter. She's pretty much followed in my footsteps, my sort of sporting career at probably about half the pace or half the time. But yeah, at some point, if the QFS hasn't happened before July or the end of July, I'll be coming to you guys to help with some sponsorship for her so we can get her to the World Champ qualifiers in Italy, which apparently is a really great place to visit.
It is. It's awesome.
And so I'm looking forward to it. Well, I want it to happen so that I can get over there and enjoy that as well and do a whole family event over there. But yeah, interesting few days left for me in the sun. I probably won't be online as much as I normally am to sort of keep up with what's going on. So come Monday, could be a totally different world. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see.
Could be.
Yeah. Lots of. If you think about, what we've been talking about, and it's this whole platform collapses, and if we're prepared, the opportunity is enormous. This conversation I had with my son-in-law looking to buy a business worth $500,000. I said, well, hold off, because you might be able to pick that up for $50,000, if not less, within the next 12 months. And if it's still of any value to rebuild, then that's going to be a far better investment now. If you were to do it now and sure you can get the mortgage to do it, then you're going to be lining his pockets and not yours. It's better to keep that money in your own pocket right now. And if you've got it in the bank, it might be better to actually have it in the physical, i.e. silver, get into some silver and gold.
I see gold's had a rally too in the last 24 hours. Apparently it's hit an all-time high.
I think that silver's blooming had a massive increase as well, probably a higher increase. I think two days ago when I looked, it was up 6.8%.
I haven't had a look today.
I haven't seen it today.
It's still down on what it was a year ago, though, so it hasn't hit its all-time high yet.
Yeah, but when the banks are collapsing and shit's hitting the fan, what's the safest thing right now?
I tell you, I was at the vault in Miami the other day, and when Sarah and I walked in, it was just her and I. I'm one other dude. When we came out of the vault, there was 12 people in there. That was on Monday. I was like, holy shit. Hey, so guys, it's past the bottom of the hour. One last plug. If you know that I've just written a new book, it's called Motivation Code, Rewrite the Code, Live Life by Design. If you want to get on the early bird list for that, you're able to by going to www.themotivationcodebook.com. This is very impromptu. That's why I haven't got anything organized to put up on the screen so you can see it. But www.themotivationcodebook.com. You can get on the early bird list there, so you can get all the good little specials that are coming up with the release of that. Which at this stage, I've actually put a line in the stand. It'll be around the 24th of April.
And let me just finish off on that. I mean, I've known Andrew for probably well over 10 years. And, when Andrew sets about doing something, he puts 110, probably 1,000% of his energy into that. So I could say, without even having access to the material yet, that it will be awesome, absolutely awesome. And if it's gonna, I'm looking forward to getting access to myself and helping to improve my life for everybody around me as well, including you guys. So perfect timing. What am I grateful for?
What are you grateful for, guys?
Man, I'm just grateful for being able to spend quality time with you, and sharing our own personal thoughts to other like-minded people.
Yeah,
and
me too.
And to continue doing that, and if we can change one person's life in any way for the positive, for the better, then that's enough for me. One at a time.
I'm grateful for being awake here at this point in time in history, because I believe this is a watershed moment. I believe I was born here at the time I was to be the age I am right now. So, and I know there's many people that feel the same. So I'm grateful to be here amongst like-minded people and being able to share our truth. And on that note, guys, we'll see you and girls next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Next week's going to be an awesome show. I already know, because there's going to be so much more stuff because everything's sped up. So and we're getting better and better.
Yeah, we might even do something during the week from an impromptu.
Well, yeah, be awake for that, because Monday or Tuesday might be probably more Tuesday for me because I'll be driving back from here. But we might have to go live because there's shit happened that we need to talk about.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Ka
See
kite
yous.
anō. We'll see you next week.
Kia ora.